one of the issues that we face in Rexburg is that we do have domestic violence present here.
Rapes do happen in this community.
There's serious child abuse that occurs, there's serious spousal abuse that occurs, there's adult partners and children that live in really desperate economic conditions and without many of the things that they need to meet their basic living needs.
Family Crisis Center is a nonprofit agency that is the only agency that serves victims of domestic violence and sexual assault in our community. We provide a crisis line, a shelter, support groups, emotional support, referrals, food, clothing.
So when we go to the schools and do presentations for education, we talk about healthy behaviors, digital boundaries, teen dating violence. In order to break the cycle of violence, we have to educate. And kids have to know what it is, what the characteristics are for healthy behaviors. What is okay to say? What hurts our feelings? To know the difference between a healthy behavior and an unhealthy behavior will be able to give the children, the teenagers, the adults confidence to know that they need to get help.
With my involvement with the Hispanic Latino community in this area, these services greatly affect my clients in being able to get established and be able to promote education.
We offer so many counseling sessions for these clients that have been through traumatic experiences that help them become more emotionally stable and able to move on with the situation that's happened and to be able to face it and overcome it.
By providing resources and scholarship opportunities for women who have left abusive situations and want to further their education so that they can better provide for their families.
We plan in classes, there are 5 consecutive classes that teach different things such as the cycle of violence or red flags of a violent situation or abusive relationship. It goes over a safety plan so that it can help them to prepare in case they're in a dangerous situation and prepare ahead of time and to know what to do in that sort of a situation.
The community involvement through the advocacy program. They actually man our crisis line from 5 at night till 8 in the morning, and they go and respond to the victims' homes with law enforcement and to the hospital, and actually can place them in our shelter and get them safe for the night until we take over the following day.
They have been just a huge help to us as a police department because we're required to respond to a lot of domestic violence calls and those kind of things. And when the Crisis Center came into being, they were a huge help in being able to help the women or those that were battered to have a place to go and to have some support. One of the things that the Crisis Center does for us is, if they become aware of those kind of things that we haven't been called in, they let us know so that we can deal with it as a law enforcement agency to help to try to protect the spouse who's being abused.
A couple other agencies are the prosecutors from each of our counties. They work on the legal end of it and they help our clients a great deal. We also have SANE nurses, sexual assault nurse examiners from Madison Memorial Hospital that dedicate a lot of their time when there's been a sexual assault or even domestic violence incident that needs medical attention.
What people forget about, you get a victim on a TV show and they show the courtroom and all the drama and everything else. But what they don't show is where she goes that night. Where is she going to sleep? Where is she going to get her food now that her abusive husband or boyfriend has scared her out of the apartment? What they do, and the way that they kind of tie into what I do, is that they are a resource for those victims that when they come in, if say we're the first point of contact or law enforcement's the first point of contact, then that's the place that we can say, look, here's a place that we know you will be safe. You'll have food, your kids will be safe,
One of the roles that we have is to work closely with the Crisis Center. They are usually called, if not by us, if not already notified that there's a rape coming in. And what they do is they lend an awful lot of support and guidance to this patient, to this victim. Rape is a very demeaning, a very disgraceful thing to have happen. And they need a lot of support. A lot of times they're not reported because of the shame that they might have to endure.
And with my work with migrant workers, we deal greatly with attorneys and counseling services here in Rexburg. We contract with Austin Miller for our crisis counseling, in which they are trained and have the hours to help them in those trauma situations.
We have a relationship with the Family Crisis Center to provide supportive counseling to victims, and then we also work with them to do some victim advocacy to meet needs of victims in other ways through like community support groups, and offer advice and suggestions about things that might serve like the emotional and behavioral needs of victims in the best way. And then we also provide domestic violence counseling for offenders, and we try to coordinate that counseling to be received in a way that would be beneficial to the victims that are known to the Family Crisis Center. And through some communication with them, we know from a victim's perspective what it is that would be beneficial to the family as a unit in cases where families are staying together.
For every person that comes to us for any kind of help here at the Family Crisis Center, it's not just the services we offer, but we have to keep those services available here, and that takes financial support. And where we're here to serve the community, we need support from the community. In 2011, we served 268 women, children, and men. The average cost for each of those people was approximately $1,400. And that is money that we need to keep our doors open, to keep the services available, and to provide those services in our community. And in order to do that, we need community financial support.
If someone were to sponsor the Family Crisis Center, you know, they'd want to know exactly what are those, you know, what is the funding going towards? Yes, some of it goes towards counseling, but honestly, a victim's going to come in and say, if I leave my offender today, there goes my milk for the kids in the morning. There goes my diapers. How am I going to go get a job? I can't afford daycare. How am I going to pay for a house? How am I going to put gas in my car? All those different things. So the funding goes to their daily survival, and then the funds are essential really for their survival.
I know local businesses get, people knock on their doors all the time, you know, for donations. I think this is one area that I'm hopeful that they will seriously think about. And it doesn't have to be a large donation by any means. I mean, if we had many, many small donations, that's just as good as one large one. I think there's a need in our community for the Crisis Center just as well as there is in every other community. There's a certain part of your community that needs help and needs support, and it's just natural. There isn't anything to be ashamed of or, you know, embarrassed about. I just think that's what we're here for, is to help each other, and I think this is a, you know, just another way that we can do that.